All right, welcome to Chicago Hockey Radio, everybody. It's Wednesday, October 2nd, first show of October, the month of regular season hockey. Welcome to the program. Raven, I don't think we got a camera on me right now, so I'm going to throw it over to Justin real quick. How you doing today, brother? Camera seems to be fixed. Yeah. No, we are less than a week away. Our first Hawks post-game show is going to be next Tuesday after the Utah game. So everybody stick around for that live. Obviously, you'll hear more about that from the two of us in lead up to that. But, I mean, this has been a tough Hawks preseason. I know you wanted to get to the cuts first because that is the story of right now and what's going on here. But let's get into it because I know yesterday was a really tough game. We're going to go into the game two of a breakdown because I thought the Hawks played really poorly last night, and that was a pretty NHL heavy roster. I know Drew Commesso was, Drew Commesso wasn't good, but we can get into the actual goals and some of the breakdowns too. Just because I really didn't like how a few of them looked, but. The big story of the day is the cuts and, Nazar and Korchinski, obviously, but also Crevier, also Spellacy. So Weeks, too, sent to the Ice Hogs. Let's get into it. What do you think about some of these cuts? I mean, I know a lot of them were expected, but a lot of them were not also.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Kevin Korchinski and Frank Nazar, it's unfortunate. I mean, I wanted to see those two on this Hawks team. Obviously, it kind of goes against what I've been saying throughout this pod. I was hoping that both of those two would have themselves, a solid preseason and kind of make this team. But neither of them have looked like NHL players in this preseason. I think it's fair to say, especially Kevin Korchinski. I mean, that was just a rough night for him last night. I mean, he directly led to two of the Hawks' goals, just brutal turnovers. Like, you can't have that. I mean, there's mistakes that are okay to make, right? Mistakes that you can accept at the NHL level, but I think the way he played was not NHL defenseman last night. I think he could use that time in Rockford to really kind of get his confidence back. I mean, I know Lev Chanel's hurt right now, but when he gets back from injury, those two could pair up, kind of build some of that chemistry because those are the two we want to see like as the one and two on this Hawks team for the future. So that could be something pretty exciting to see. And Frank Nazar, yeah, I'm a little surprised about that. I mean, I think he hasn't had the best preseason, but maybe they give him another game or two. But they decided to send him down with Korchinski today. Um, I mean, he hasn't really played. I think we would have had to be one of the best Hawks players to make this team. I think he's just been kind of okay. Hasn't really. I mean, he hasn't looked bad. I think he's been solid, but not quite maybe ready for the NHL yet. I think some time in Rockford because he didn't get any time yet would benefit him for sure. Hopefully, if both those two players don't necessarily have to be there the whole season, like if they perform well down there, they could eventually get back on this Hawks team at some point during the season, whether that's I don't know, post trade deadline, whatever, like when we sell, whenever that ends up being, hopefully we'll see them on the Hawks at some point this year. But I mean, I think another takeaway is just how fun the Rockford Ice Hogs are going to be this year. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a team that can win the Calder this year. They got a lot of good young talent down there. Also, guys like Landon Slager, Colton Dock. They have a really strong D core down there as well. So I think they'll be a fun team to watch. So yeah, but I think with both those two players, yeah, that's just what you want to see. Just build that confidence down there. And that's definitely the Davidson agenda. He doesn't like Russian players. And I know, I know it kind of goes against what I've been saying. I wanted to see Korchinski and Nazar on the Sox team, but right now, I think it's fair to say, based on what we've seen of them in the preseason, I think this is the right move right now. I think both players, yeah.
Um, yeah, I think for me, it's just been about, do you want these guys to make their mistakes at the NHL level or do you want them to make them at the AHL level?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's yeah,
and,
it's
and I don't know that I don't think any of them are a wrong answer, right?
yeah.
And clearly they went with allowing them to make their mistakes in Rockford versus up here in Chicago. And if I were Kyle Davidson, would I lean more towards NHL? Sure. But last night, I definitely do see it that you go down there, you have some fun. You play on a really fun young team that is really exciting and is probably going to play a really high paced style of hockey. I just, yeah, I mean, like I said, I've talked about with Korchinski, it's like play him on the top pair. Like, don't play him on the bottom pair, play him on the top pair. And, yesterday they kind of did, or I mean, I guess it was a pseudo second pair with,
Second pair
with
Murphy, which
with
that was
Murphy.
brutal.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really bad. I mean, they directly led. I think they were on the ice for the first three goals against. I know it was the first two.
Yeah, yeah, and
Um,
two of them were just completely on it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it just the penalty kill wasn't good, but um, yeah, Korchinski is a really good player that the Hawks need to develop. And if you're going to load up the defense in Rockford, you're going to have Levshinov, you're going to have Korchinski down there. You're going to have all of these different players, the guys on the Hawks that don't get cuts, the Del Mastros and the
Crevier.
Crevier.
If
Like
Phillips and Allen are the Hawks right now, but when Kaiser's back, one of those guys can get sent down too. So that's like five right there.
that's five
Yeah.
guys right there.
Yeah.
Like ice time's got to go around too at the same point. And I think it just it goes back to the earlier discussion of signing both Martinez and Brody. Like maybe one, maybe the other, but both of them creates a bit of a logjam when you have all of these young defensemen that you'd love to try at the NHL level and see if they can get minutes. But
Yeah, well, I think with Kevin it's difficult because he was in a tough situation last year. They couldn't send him to Rockford because of those silly rules where it's like under 20, whatever can't play,
Yeah.
and the juniors can't play in the AHL. So it was either send him back to juniors or NHL. And I think it was the right call to play in the NHL last year. I think he dominated in juniors. He didn't really have anything else to gain being down there. So I still think it was the right move last year to play in the NHL level, see what he's got. And I think now it's like, yeah, he moves back a step. I think that could be a good thing for him, kind of get his confidence back, which is clearly kind of lost a bit. I think he showed some good things too. Like I don't want to completely harp on Kevin. I think he showed some good qualities in his preseason. I think his skating's been good. His passing when he's not turning the puck over has been solid. Like so, I think no, there's a good defenseman there, a lot of potential. But I just think, I think there comes a time where it's like, yes, making mistakes in NHL level is excusable, but it's like that can only go so far. It can only go for so long, right? Until it's like it's just hurting a player's confidence. So
well, I think yesterday put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's the right move for him. And Nazar, yeah, I mean, only 3 games NHL last year. I mean, I think I think he's NHL ready, but like I can understand not wanting to rush him, right? And no, I think with Rockford, I think you can't really harp on that either. I mean, I think a season there won't hurt him, and it can only help him. I think playing top line minutes there versus bottom six here probably better for him. So, and again, it kind of goes against what I've been saying, but I'm willing to be wrong and admit when I'm wrong. So yeah,
I just think with Nazar too, the reasoning for maybe keeping him is like this is a team that you just like there may be a few more goals in his stick than a guy like Andreas Athanasiou or
and that's the thing. I mean,
Reichel or something like that. Like I could have seen him having a 20,
and I
30
wouldn't
season.
say,
20
I wouldn't
goals,
say,
30 assists.
and neither of those two guys have been better than Nazar. I think Nazar's been better than Reichel, but I think obviously you want Reichel on the Hawks. He's well past his expiration date in the Ice Hogs. Being in the Hogs does nothing for him at this point. And after this, he's a vet. So, but I mean, it goes to show, like, I don't think Nazar's been one of the worst. I think he's been probably middle of the pack, but it's just not good enough. Like in his position, he had to be one of the best forwards to make the team. Yeah.
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 Do you want to get into that game a little bit? Because it was,
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah, that was
Dickinson gets it started.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought they started the game off pretty well. Like the first period, I thought was the one period where the Hawks like, okay, like that was solid, and it started off like that felt like a regular season hockey game. Like the intensity was visibly higher than the previous preseason games. And yeah, I think that Dickinson, Foligno, Mikheyev line, like that was probably our best line out there. It was probably our one consistent line all night. I like the forechecking they had. Yeah, it's a slow line, but it's good hard working line and good defensive line. I think Lee mentioned this. Like that's a line you could put up against some of the top lines and kind of shut them down and let Bedsy do his thing against lesser competition. So yeah, I like what I saw from that line, but that's about it in terms of positives. I mean, Bedsy looked good. That's another positive. He had a goal. The power play was decent there. I also like Bedsy's aggression. Like I remember there was a play where I think it was Eriksson Ek, like they were kind of tussling with each other after the whistle. And last year, Bedard would have kind of been okay, would have skated back to the bench. He would have taken whatever, like the hits or whatever. But he actually kind of fought back and cross-checked Eriksson Ek back. So I thought that was pretty cool. He's just showing that he's going to stand up for himself this year. He's not going to take any bullshit. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's about it for the positives. The rest of the game, I have got nothing positive to say. I mean, Korchinski, I was going to say before, the news they got sent down that yesterday's game was so bad that it pretty much completely changed my opinion of whether he should be on the Hawks this year and that he probably should be sent down, and he got sent down. So I don't even need to really go into that because they answered that question for me. But not just him. That entire defense was terrible. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, Vlasic Jones pair was okay, but that's about it. I mean, it was a pretty green defense to be fair, right? I mean, after Krasinski and Murphy, I think it was Phillips and Krebe was the third pair. So because Martinez Brody were scratched, so that's two vets that were in the lineup there. And the offense was mostly NHL. Spellacy was there and Tavo wasn't. Like that's like the one big name that wasn't really in the lineup. So again, it wasn't a completely NHL lineup, but it was pretty close, about 80%. And Camesso was a net. That's the other thing. Like you have a young goaltender net behind a green defense. Like it could see it could get exposed against a team, with some of the weapons like the Wild, and it did. So it was definitely hard to watch. But I thought Camesso, all things considered, held his own. I know he let in 7 goals, but he also made some pretty big saves. And I don't think there's much you could really ask of him to do behind that defense yesterday. So I don't really think you could put any blame on him. I thought he did fine. So, but yeah, I mean, it was pretty rough watch. The second line was terrible. That Hall Reichel Athanasiou line, I mean, absolutely brutal. And I think Lucas Reichel, I mean, I know it's only 2 preseason games, but this is a guy we had such high expectations of this year, and he's looked not any better than last season. These two games, like it's been rough. So that's a guy I can't lie. I'm worried about him. Maybe I shouldn't overreact to preseason, but I mean, you got to see something, right? And it's like that line generated nothing. I feel like every time they're on the ice, they spent the whole time in the defensive zone, and it was just hard to watch. So that's just something I'm worried about Lucas Reichel. I can't lie. Like I shouldn't be hitting the panic button yet, but I'm kind of getting close. Like it's not my finger isn't on the button, but it's hovering above it with Lucas Reichel. Like that's a guy that needs to figure it out this season. There's no more excuses.
So yeah, I want to get this on track here a little bit. I wanted to go like not goal by goal, but like kind of a little bit with this game because the first goal that they score at the end of the first period is kind of a miscue by Kevin Korchinski.
Yeah,
right?
he just throws the puck to no one and then sets it up for a breakaway.
Athanasiou kind of fumbled it a little bit. Like he did put Kevin in a tricky spot with a forechecking guy, and
it wasn't completely on him, but still, it was a reckless
he
play.
made him look bad.
And then Reichel just kind of picks the puck and just kind of puck just goes in off of him. It was kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, he did. Jacob Lauko was really good for Minnesota yesterday. But yeah, I don't know. That first goal was a tough one. Camesso's not like close to NHL ready. Also, like
but I don't think you could put that. I think he's at least a year or two away. I mean, but I don't think you could put that game on him. I mean, Mrazek, if Mrazek's in net, maybe he bails you out a couple of those. Maybe it's a 5-2 game, 7-2 game. But I don't know. Like I think I put the blame on the defense, not Camesso last night.
Yeah.
The shots were 42-21. They had double the amount of shots, so that tells you a lot right there.
No, I know. The last goal too went in off his hand. I think that went like it was like the floater from Spurgeon on the
he
last
did have
one.
a couple where he maybe could have had back, but I thought most of them are pretty high quality. He made some big saves too. Yeah.
I know this is Hawks Hour of a Chicago themed show, but Jared Spurgeon, it was nice to see him put a couple in the back of the net.
Also, future Blackhawks legend Kirill Kaprizov had a goal too.
You want to talk about that? well, I mean, it's just we've talked a little bit about some of the rumors that were out there in the older article from the summer, but Craig
and the Wild have responded, haven't they? You can go into that.
Craig Leopold of the owner of the Minnesota Wild, the quote from him was, "Oh boy, nobody will offer more money than us or longer." So just they're gonna offer everything to like keep their guy and
to be expected. He's their franchise guy, right? Yeah.
We could dream a little bit of having an exciting player like that.
I still will. I mean, I'll still dream of it. Probably not going to happen.
No. But you never know though. I don't know that. I don't know what the free agent class next year is going to look like, right? The Wild.
There's definitely. I know there's quite a few stars in there for sure.
Yeah, but how many of them end up actually like going to market? Besides like re-signing with the team they're with, or maybe getting moved and signed. But you rarely see like those top dogs in hockey really change teams like that. Like, you had the late Johnny Gaudreau and, Matthew Tkachuk was a sign and trade, right? Some of these guys have been, moved before, Bo Horvat was moved before and re-signed with the Islanders. But I don't know how much better the Minnesota Wild are going to get. They have some of these like really good players, but they don't have like Kaprizov is a star, and you could argue,
I don't think they really have complimentary piece. I mean, they have some other pretty solid players like Zuccarello, but like
Eriksson Ek is a
but Boldy's
really good.
emerging.
Eric
And then remember, yeah, Eriksson Ek too. Yeah.
is fantastic. I mean, he's
Yeah.
like a monster, dude. And Brock Faber's really good, and like he's in my top 10 defensemen in the NHL right now.
Wow, that's high praise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else like you would really want over a guy like that. If I'm like starting a franchise and you get like one forward, one defenseman, like he's probably one of the guys I'm taking.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough.
But
just have a Bedsy Faber team.
yeah. Oh, come on now. That would be unbelievable. But yeah, I don't know what, like I think it could have gotten to this point with Kirill Kaprizov. Not saying he doesn't like Minnesota at all or anything like that, but maybe he just doesn't feel that they're going to be maybe it's a competitiveness thing with the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like they're stuck in no man's land right now.
Yeah, but it feels like they're always stuck in no man's land.
Yeah, like they're like the Islanders of the West.
Yeah, I mean, and the Blackhawks are a team that they are like the New York Rangers. This is sometimes when it's time, push all your chips in the middle kind of team and spend what you need to spend. Do what
people want to play in Chicago. I mean, no matter the situation the organization may be in, whether it's rebuilding or a contender, like you want to play for a big original six market like the Blackhawks. So, like and especially an emerging one. Like I know we're in the dumps right now, but any player could see like this organization that's on the rise. So I mean, why wouldn't you want to play in a team like that with Connor Bedard?
Yeah. What else do you have? Anything else from the game last night? I thought the penalty kills, at least on the Kaprizov goal, where he one-timed into the net from the right side, everybody was puck watching, and just can't have that on the penalty kill.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of that. I think that was right after the second one too. I think they had two in like 26 seconds. They had a few spurts in that second period where it was like back to back, which that was an issue with the Hawks last season too, where it's like it's the shift after the goal that's so important in hockey, right? It's how you respond. And I feel like the Hawks last season were never good with that, and it was kind of, and Foligno mentioned that. I think like we kind of slipped in. We had a good start to the game. We kind of slipped back into old habits. I'm not Nick Foligno, but I'm going to assume that's what he's talking about. It's just the response after goals was just bad. And they kind of let things kind of like stack up and get worse. So they could have made a game yesterday. It was a game for a bit, but then like you kind of lose that confidence. A couple go in and the game just goes away. Like there's too many games like that last season. And with this deeper lineup, you hope that issue would be solved. And again, only preseason game, but the fact that it was a most NHL lineup, it's generally concerning what we saw last night. Like it generally is. So hopefully that's not what we see come regular season. Maybe they're just playing some 4D chess and setting expectations pretty low before the actual season starts here. But yeah, I mean, the tanking, we don't have to worry about that until October 8th, guys. So I don't know. Maybe they don't realize that, but we'll see. I was hoping to see a little less of that this season, a little more competitiveness. But yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to watch I don't want to be doing a bunch of post game shows with you of like
or it's the games like this
6-1, 6-2 hockey games, and they lose, and we're just talking about like a Bedard goal. Like that would not be.
If we're losing by, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 1, like that's cool. But I not games like that. There's nothing positive to take away from a game like this. Even if Bedsy scores, it's like that's the one positive is Bedard did something like that's like any game last season. So yeah, no.
Yeah. Do you think hockey? This is kind of an out of the blue question, but do you think hockey? I'm noticing with football a lot. The narrative is like you got to win with these young quarterbacks. Right. And essentially the hockey equivalent of that would be like, hey, like, let's win while Connor Bedard's on his entry level contract. Like, let's win the Stanley Cup. Well, now, obviously, hockey doesn't really work like that because you have to be bad to get the first overall pick. And it's not so much free agent transaction like it is in football or, where you get a few pieces. Like, I don't know. Hockey. I mean, football, you have a lot of guys on the team. Don't get me wrong. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm misguided here.
Yeah, it's not the same way in hockey, especially for where we're at. I mean, I can tell you this team's not going to be winning anything on Bedard's ELC. Maybe next year we can start thinking about that, but this year will be better. But I think it's clear to say, I know it's only one game, but maybe we should set expectations a little lower after last night. That was pretty rough.
Yeah. No, I just like I look at this team and I think it's like boom or bust. Tyler Bertuzzi could be
So I
really
look at it
good,
like
and
on paper, it's not a bad looking team. That's the thing. I think
yeah,
this is another conversation. When do we start thinking this might have something to do more with just beyond the players? Because I think through his first two seasons, you can't really blame the coaching, right? Like Richardson's had nothing to work with these first two seasons. Some
Luke
lousy lineups.
Richardson, he's a good coach.
He is, but I mean, I think this season, if we don't see some serious progression, I think you can ask some questions because this is an NHL caliber lineup. This is not a team that should be, I mean, complete ass. I mean, it's not a playoff team, but it's a team that should be competitive and in the mix. So if we're not seeing that progression this year, maybe we start asking questions. I'm not dogging
Maybe.
Richardson. I agree with you. I think he's a good coach, but I think there comes a point where it's like, okay, year three, we have a team here. Like we need to see some progression. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I just think you're like asking a lot of guys to do a lot.
Yeah.
You're asking a lot of Taylor Hall and Bertuzzi and Brody and Martinez. And
Speaking of Taylor Hall, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like
no,
I sung his praises after this the preseason game on Saturday. I thought he looked great, but he was terrible last night. I mean, he was playing like he was under the influence. I mean, he was just slipping and falling a bunch of times in our own zone. There was one play where it's like he skated to like in the third period, he skates to the wild net. It just rams into the net and then it falls on top of Gustafson. I was like, I don't know what he was doing last night. Maybe it was like the Lucas Reichel effect where that just brought his game down, put him back with Kurashev. Those two had something cooking on Saturday. But yeah, that was rough. Hopefully it's not the Taylor Hall we see this season because he's been kind of boomer bust in this preseason from what I've seen. It's either good or great. It's either good or bad. Yeah.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of guys like that on this Hawks team, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Not just him, yeah.
Mikheyev, like if Mikheyev
Yeah.
can, put a few in the net, or if he's going to put like 5 in the net.
I like what I've seen from on that Foligno Dickinson line. Like that's one of the few positives from last night. I thought that line was very good.
He
Like
just can't hit the broadside of a barn.
yeah, I mean he has no finish, but I kind of liked his game like on that line. Like what he compliments Foligno Dickinson well with the forecheck. So more of that, please. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, what else from yesterday? You wanted to mention the CHS.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, for the people who were actually able to watch it, I thought the broadcast was pretty smooth. I liked it. I liked the score. The score bug was pretty cool in the corner there. I thought the quality was good. Like the sounds, I feel like you could hear the puck more clearly. Which I know it's a silly thing to say, but like I always think that's like satisfying. Like the sounds of hockey. The puck hitting the posts and the net and just like the hits and stuff. I thought that was really clear. Maybe it was just maybe it was just me. Maybe it was just the fact I haven't really watched a hockey game on a broadcast like that in months. But it sounded pretty solid compared to NBC Sports Chicago, the previous. And in terms of the broadcast, I know it's only one game, but man, already Rick Ball is better than Chris Foster's. I love this guy. I think he brings out more out of Darren Ping too. You could see those two have good chemistry with each other. I think that's gonna be a fun duo to watch in the booth this year. He's very old school Rick Ball. He just calls the game as it is. He doesn't add any unnecessary fluff. Sometimes he just lets the game speak for itself. I like that. I think that's great. So I like what I saw from first impressions of CHSN. I had low expectations going into it because it feels like it's kind of an operation that's just kind of come out of nowhere, and we haven't really heard a lot of information. And it's only on so many providers right now. So, I mean, for the people who aren't able to watch, I feel sorry. But I mean, in terms of, I thought it was pretty solid first game. But and hopefully it'll only get better, and hopefully they can get more providers going. But yeah, I thought first game pretty solid on their end. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was good too. I thought, like you said, it's kind of thrown together.
Last minute, it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought Chris Foster's was better than a lot of people gave him credit for. I think he was thrust into an impossible position, and coming in for a legend like that, and
he's a sports announcer. He's not a hockey announcer. I think that was pretty clear. I think he's doing stuff at Big Ten Olympics. I think he'll do fine there, but I just don't think he was meant to be calling black. I think yes, maybe it got too much flack, but this is the Blackhawks we're talking about. This isn't just any organization. Like I think fans who like want to defend Chris Foster's, it's like, why are we tolerating mid? This is the Chicago Blackhawks. Like we should only be expecting the best over here.
Yeah, I mean, Rick Ball is really good.
He is like he's great. Like that is a Blackhawks announcer right there, and it only made Pang better too. I think Pang was kind of mad last year, and it wasn't his fault. I think he and Foster's had kind of a dynamic. It just didn't work well together. You could see it. I think Pang he's basically the reason why Foster's was fired. He basically talked to the Hawks. Is like, yeah, I mean, I don't really want to work with this guy anymore. So
is that accurate?
No, it is accurate. The Chicago Sun-Times article about it. You could check.
Really?
I'm not just making that up.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
No, not that I thought you were. Not that I thought.
Yeah,
I know you come in here with, your sources all backed, but
oh yeah, no.
No way.
I think I want to say it was around, yeah, you could look it up. You could find it. I think it was around June. Like it basically said, I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what it said, but it basically said paying involved just had a strained relationship, and that's kind of what led to the Hawks reevaluating their decision. They also led to listen to fans. I think that was another one. The fans were complaining a lot about Vosters, and that's why they got rid of him and brought in Ball. I think the broadcast was very it was very national broadcast quality. I think that was another thing they're kind of targeting. So hopefully we'll see more of that. But no, so far CHSN, Brick Ball, good stuff.
Are you gonna have to like pay for CHSN?
No, I don't think so. I think it's free.
You think it's free? You think they'll have like an app or something where you'll be able to watch these games?
Right now there isn't, but you'd think that would be something in the future for sure. I mean, that's the one negative right now is the fact that it's like only like Chicago or like Antenna or whatever. It's weird the way it's not very open to everybody at the moment. You kind of have to dig for it or find other options. Like I watch it in ESPN Plus. That's how I was able to in Ohio. So I don't know. That's something we'll have to figure out, I guess.
Man, I'm bummed we're not going to get to watch Korchinski and Nazar to start the season with the Hawks.
It is. It's not the way I want to go down.
Bummer.
Like I do think it's the right decision, but it's not the way I want. I wanted to see those two like be great in this preseason and make this NHL team. I wanted to see them on the Hawks because I thought that'd be good for them. But they didn't
think we'll
really
see them soon. Like when do you think the soonest we see these guys is? Maybe.
Probably not until I don't think we'll see them in the 2024 portion of the season.
Oof.
And probably be, I mean, because I don't think they're just they want to give them time down there. Like I think if they show well enough and they have some guys up here struggling, if they're injuries, of course, I think they'll be the first call ups. But I don't imagine we see them until probably at least the second half of the year. I'm just guessing. I could be wrong about that, but my guess they want to see him marinate down there. They're not going to try to rush that, right? So I think second half of the season, especially post trade deadline, when a couple of those 1 year deal guys have been moved down, we probably sell. Like those guys hope they'll be on the team for the rest of the season. So yeah.
Do you want to talk about this Bedard Fanatics deal?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know the full details. I just know Bedard signed a deal with Fanatics where it's like they're the exclusive like provider of merch or something
I have
like
it
that.
here.
Yeah, there you
give
go.
me a second. Yeah, it was, and he's only one of a few guys to.
Yeah, right. Like Matthews, Ovechkin, like a couple others maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I got it right here. Okay. Fanatics signs a multi-year deal to exclusively distribute licensed memorabilia of Blackhawk star Connor Bedard. Bedard joins Fanatics roster alongside Austin Matthews and Alex Ovechkin with authentic jerseys, sticks, and game-used gear available. That is coming from Sports Business Journal. So, and they made like a sick video about it too.
Nice.
Yeah, so he is now a Fanatics exclusive athlete.
Betsy getting more bank, man. This guy and his sponsorships, he's going crazy over there.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody deserves it, it's him, right?
Oh, for sure. He is him. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard on 32 Thoughts, I thought this was pretty interesting. Elliot was talking about how a lot of what did Patrick Kane say? Did you see the quote that Patrick Kane said Nate Danielson reminds him of Connor Bedard?
That's some extreme glazing there. I think Kane
just the Mitchkov stuff too. Like, so both of those guys, and Connor's just like sitting here, like doing his thing, like never, spoken out in his life, like is such a good.
I do think that's an interesting comment from Kaner, though. It's like he really wanted to play with. I'm probably just wish-washing here, but it's like he really wanted to play with Bedsy, so he's just seeing Bedard and other players in his organization. I don't know, but I think Bedard himself had pretty high praise for Danielson. I think Bedard himself. Don't quote me on this. I think he said Danielson was one of the hardest players he played against in the WHL. So if that's the case, I mean, Kane's probably onto something there. But I don't know. I mean, comparing him to Connor Bedard, that's pretty high praise. I think Danielson probably be pretty moved by that.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was but it's just funny because like Bedard is so nonchalant about everything and is so take it as it comes. And, I just play hockey. I just want to get better at hockey.
Yeah.
And then
he's not like that. He doesn't really care about, the comments and stuff.
No,
yeah. No,
not at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Danielson's a good player though. He'll be.
Oh yes. No, he's probably one of their top 3 prospects over there for sure.
Yeah. I'm also bummed. My AJ Spellacy is going to play one game.
Oh,
the National
yeah.
Hockey League take lasted all of 36 hours.
Yeah, I knew that one wasn't happening.
Yeah,
but you can wish, right?
Yeah, totally.
I wasn't say though that he lasted that long though. They played so well where it's like he kind of forced them like, oh, okay, we'll give you all these preseason games. Like I think that's good for him. I think that's good for his development. I think it sets him up for a pretty strong season over there. Like why can't he be a point per game or better player over there now? I mean, after all these games of NHL experience, I mean, playing those OHL games probably feel like nothing now. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, Wyatt Kaiser's been out because of maintenance. Concern that developed over physicals. So that's why some of these other guys, like Isaac Phillips, have stuck around a
Exactly.
bit.
It's given them opportunities. Nolan Allen. So Kaiser, I'm not sure how much longer he'll be out. I think he's good now, but not quite ready to get back on the ice. So I mean, I would imagine once he's back, he'll be kind of that sixth defenseman. Now bump down one of those two, I would imagine. One of Phillips or Allen, probably Allen, but maybe yeah, I mean maybe it's Phillips. I don't know. But it definitely gives those two opportunities, especially with Kevin being sent down. So we'll see which of those two really kind of takes advantage of that for sure. In terms of Nolan Allen, I think they see a lot out of him. I mean, so we'll see. Maybe this opportunity could be good for a guy like that. I've always said he's kind of the guy who felt like maybe a little bit of an odd man out here, like on this defensive prospect system, but this could give him a chance of playing some games potentially and kind of, show he could be a part of this core. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, they're really high on Kaiser this year. I don't know where
They are, yeah.
where that kind of all came. It feels like it came all of a sudden, but I don't know.
No, he's had quite a few games with the Hawks. He had a lot last year. I think he started the season off the Hawks, but was sent down because he struggled. But then he came back and he was pretty solid. Like the end of the season, he looked like an NHL defenseman. So I think the plan was to start him off up here, and I think when he gets back, that should still be the plan. So we'll see. 2020 draft pick like Phillips. So I'd imagine it's those two, and then the 21 draftee Allen's probably sent down, but we'll see. Yeah.
I guess I just meant like it felt like there were other guys higher than him on the depth chart, and then now.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, he definitely left above Kevin. That did seem to come kind of quickly, but I mean, the way Kevin's played this preseason, I could kind of see that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna hit a break here, and when we come back, we will talk about the rest of the National Hockey League and some of this stuff. Man, we got a lot to dig into. So
one more thing actually.
Oh, you got another Hawks thing? Oh, Rockford.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the Rockford Ice Dogs start the preseason today, and yeah, as I mentioned, must-watch hockey this year. I think that team's gonna be fun to watch. So definitely, if you're a Hawks fan, find a way to watch those AHL games because that's gonna be a great team to watch this year. Yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to mention.
Cool. All right, we're gonna go to break. So let's go to break, and then we'll be back in momentarily with NHL Hour. Keep it here. All right, welcome back to NHL Hour of Chicago Hockey Radio. Tassos, Kirkos, Justin Lynch, Raven Gasser. Lee Grossman had appendicitis and had his appendix taken out. So he is on the IR and will be back soon. We hope to activate him off the IR soon. He said him and John Gibson are in the same boat right now, was the text that we got from him. So
we hope he recovers smooth and has a quick recovery.
Yeah, he seems in high spirits.
That's good.
So, and then you were mentioning to me off the hop, I couldn't hear you, but I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
Yeah, no, that was funny.
The Hogs are playing right. The Hogs are playing right now. You said somebody got their first goal, but
the Ice Hogs are playing the first preseason game right now, and Frank Nazar had the first goal. So that's what you want to see, right? Like, it's unfortunate, but it's like, hey, if he's ripping up down there, then I think we'll all be happy to see that, right? So
who are they playing?
Good question.
You don't know.
I think it's the Iowa Wild. Oh,
yeah. Okay.
That's funny. Of course, they're playing the Wild.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh no, what were you gonna say? You first.
Oh no, I was gonna say anything. Just that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool. I was gonna say, oh yeah. Also, we got a new camera here for anybody watching this. So, hooking that up has been kind of a work in progress. We're getting better at this though, everybody. So give us some grace, whether you're an audio listener or a podcast listener.
Also, I will eventually have a working camera over here. So the audio on my end should be better once I actually set that up. But
camera mic for Justin, and we're getting new cameras in here. We're getting nicer cameras. Like this isn't, we're trying to increase the production here, not decrease it. So if there are bumps and bruises along the way, like I say, just kind of stick with us. I
like the Wolves hat, by the way. That's a nice hat you got there.
Yeah, this is an old one. Hold on.
What year is that?
This is well, I don't know. It says 1998 on it. It is the 1998 Turner Cup
championship, right? Yeah, because I think 98, 2000, 2002, 2008, and then 2022, right?
Yeah, but this is the IHL. So
that's right. Yeah, before they entered the AHL. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Shout out the Wolves. Shout out Spiros Anastas, assistant coach for the Wolves. I hope they have a good season. I hope they have a good season. He'll be running the defense for them, so he's going to crush it, and so are they. They got some exciting defensemen potentially. That could be an interesting team, in the city here. This is Chicago Hockey Radio. I was going to ask if you pay attention to the high school stuff at all.
Well, I did when I played, not so much currently, so much now, but I still a little bit, but not a
lot of players. Like there are not a lot of the high school guys get like big school looks, obviously from around here. But that's not to say that the Chicagoland area does not produce really good players.
There's plenty of talent, believe me.
There's players in the OHL, like from the suburbs and stuff. There's a good handful of players from the OHL or guys that just graduated from the OHL too, and the USHL obviously as well. But there are a lot of really good players that come from the area too. So
of course, I know Chicago Mission produces a lot of talent too. That makes it the big leagues. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Hurricanes have some exciting prospects. They got like Bradley Nadeau and some of these really big guys that are going to play some big roles on the Wolves this season too. They also have Ty Smith, who has led the AHL in defenseman scoring last year. So
well, for a good season of the Wolves. I used to pay more attention to them. I used to go to a ton of games, like Wolves games when I was younger. They're a cheaper alternative to Hawks games, but I haven't been in a while. I haven't been since the 2019 when they were in the Calder. That's the last Wolves game I was at. So but I'd like to get
them in the final.
Yeah, 2019 they lost to the Checkers, I believe, the then Checkers. I haven't been to Wolves games since. Used to go to a ton, so I'd like to get back to one someday. Yeah.
So the big story in the NHL, is kind of, it's the Swayman stuff, but we're not going to lead with that again. But that boiled over yesterday to a crazy point too.
Yeah, that's getting pretty tense over there. It's like not only he might not even start the season. Now it's like he might not even be a Boston Bruin.
Are we getting into it?
Let's just get the Swayman discussion out of the way, like we always have.
That was crazy. That was crazy yesterday. Yesterday was actually, you don't see this. We don't see this. That's why it's so fun to talk about, is because we don't see this. you know.
And now it's like we're looking at lists of like potential trade destinations. One of the teams I've seen a few times is the Hawks. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna if Kyle didn't pick up the phone for Scarov, I don't know if he's gonna pick up the phone for Swayman, but you know, you never know. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the Bruins, it's like it puts a lot of pressure on them. It's like you gotta get this done now, right? I mean, it's now or never. So I mean, yeah, that situation is definitely unfolding over there.
Do you see it actually getting resolved in Boston now?
I mean, I don't think it's going to resolve for a bit. I think probably misses some time to start the season at the very least. But now it's like, is that bridge almost burnt now? Where it's like it's hard to start. I think Bizen had said this, like it's hard to start an 8-year relationship that starts off like this, right? So yeah, I don't know. That could be a tricky situation. I think it's possible he could be dealt. I mean, it's possible. I still think they probably figure it out. He probably signs over there. But if they don't, man, what a colossal fuck up that would be for the Bruins. I mean, to trade Olmark before not even knowing if you got Swayman locked up, that would be a monumental screw up, and that team would be so screwed. So
What do
for
you
their
think the
sake, they better
package would
figure.
be? Like, what do you think a package for Swayman could look like?
Oh man, I mean, it'd take a lot. I mean, take probably top prospect or player, probably draft picks. Yeah, I mean, it would take. It would take a lot. That's all I know. I don't know if I could put an exact like trade proposal out there, but if they could you name a team, I could probably
The
figure that out.
Hawks. The Hawks.
Well, it would take one of our top prospects, probably somebody like Oliver Moore, Kevin Korchinski, top draft pick, and probably somebody like another goalie back in return, like Comesso Guyon, something like that. Which if I were the Hawks, to be honest, like as much as I like Swayman, I would not do it. I mean, I think we got two solid prospects down there. I mean, yes, goalies are so unpredictable. You can't nothing's guaranteed to hit, but I'm willing to, hedge the bets that one of them's going to work out. We have two solid goaltenders here right now that are good enough for the rebuild. I think if we were a contending team, this is a move that I'd be interested in making, but the Hawks are not a contending team right now. We're rebuilding. So I think for a rebuilding team, I just don't think this move makes too much sense right now. I know Swayman's young though. He is 25, so he could be our goalie in the future, but I would not be interested in giving up like a top prospect like a Korchinski or a Nazar or more or somebody like that in return. Like that does not move me when we already have, prospects in the system. So
What
yeah, I would
about
not
like
pull the
what
trigger.
about one of like the defense prospects? Anybody but Korchinski, I would
Yeah,
say.
or yeah, no, not Levshunov either,
Oh
or
well, yeah,
Vlasic,
or
but yeah,
Lepshin. I thought that was a given, but yeah, not
yeah.
Korchinski.
I mean, in that case, I probably because I think we have a bit of a log jam down there.
First round picks.
So if it was like I don't know somebody like yeah like Kaiser or like somebody like that Rinzel like I do like Rinzel though I don't know but yeah like
He's a
for a
good
first
player.
round pick and yeah then like another goalie in return or something like that like maybe that could work out but I don't know if that would be enough for them like I think the Bruins like they'd definitely be asking for a lot here but they only have so much wiggle room right like in this type of deal like you only get so much out of it so yeah I mean we'll see.
Don't the Hawks have the Leafs first round draft pick too
Yes
this
they
year?
do so
Yeah,
that could be in play too for sure.
yeah. You never
I don't know I
know.
don't think it's going to happen but you never know it's fun to think about at least
Maybe
peruse.
Los Angeles, like he would go there too.
Yeah, somebody like Detroit who really could use a goaltender. I mean, because I don't think Talbot's really the way.
Trade him in
Even
division. That would be
yeah, that's the thing. They are in the division. That's right. But that would kind of solve that issue. Let's see who else could really use them. Hmm.
Montreal,
I was just thinking of
but they're
Montreal
not gonna
actually.
they're not gonna trade him to the Habs.
Another all the teams that could use them are in the same division. That's
Yeah,
funny. Yeah.
yeah. LA and the Hawks would be fun though. The Hawks could get it done. They have the capital to get it done, but
And I know he's worked with Drew Comesso because I think they had that connection there. And kind of that college connection. I think they worked with each other, trained with each other in the offseason. I'm not mistaken. I think Comesso spoke of how swimming kind of helped him with his like mindset and things like that. So I mean those are two that could work together potentially. You never know. But yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. No, I just saw you had the doc stuff in here, and I meant to ask you about the doc stuff earlier,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but this, yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with Swayman. I am shocked that it's
It's reached this
devolved to
point.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like
wild.
what a fumble by the Bruins. What a, like just an error in miscommunication and
Yeah,
what a lesson in what not to do when,
exactly.
you're
Yeah.
you're talking about things like leverage and you're talking like you traded Olmark for a pretty underwhelming package and if you were going to want to like play hardball with Swayman, your best likelihood was probably hanging on to Olmark, right?
Mhm.
And you just, I don't know, you traded him for Eunice Corpusalo and you didn't even get a first round pick back. And, this is the guy who won the Vesna. And I don't know. I just,
The thing with the Bruins though is like, don't they only have so much like cap space where they can only offer him so much? Like they offered him 8 million, and if I'm not mistaken, like is that not the max they could have offered him? Am I wrong about that and saying they could have offered more? Um, that's the thing. Like I think the salary cap situation may put them in a tough situation here with the negotiations. I think Swayman wants more than that, but it's like, can the Bruins offer him more than 8 million? Is that the max?
This says their projected cap space right now is 7.861. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
just
they'd
under
have
eight.
to figure something out. Maybe I don't know, send someone down or I don't know, do something. But I mean, I guess they can only from their perspective. I guess that's something you do have to take into account, though, right? It's like it's not like they could just give that to them because like they're kind of in a tough situation to cap. But still, I mean, yeah,
Don't they still have like Derek Forbert making $3 million or something like that? They could
yeah.
just
So I
waive
mean, there's
him.
something they could. Yeah, that's true. I'm sure it's a fixable problem, but that's just something I thought about. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If we got a trade, that would be really spicy. I would really enjoy a Jeremy Swayman trade to kick off the season.
Yeah, that would be a heck of a start to the year, right?
Yeah, I think we're all just ready for hockey to start. I don't know about
NHL's
you.
not short on drama these days. Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely ready to start. Yeah.
No, the NHL is not short on drama. Also, like this,
It's getting like F1 over here. Like that show can't get here soon enough. That'll be great.
it'll be so good. I don't know
Yeah.
when we're gonna be able to watch it as Americans, or even
Yeah, that's
how,
tricky.
but
We have to find an alternate way or something.
yeah, I'm sure we could probably get some friends from Canada to help
Yeah, I
us
have some
out.
cousins there. I can like I'll negotiate with them. So just give me the rundowns of what's going on over there.
I don't want this to turn into Hawks Hour or even like former Hawks Hour, but that Kirby Doc stuff yesterday was really
I am
funny.
not surprised in the slightest. I mean, just knowing what Kirby Doc listened to him on the Spin Chicklets podcast a few times, like this guy has a heck of a personality, that's for sure. It does not shock me that he would partake in something like this. Why don't you give the rundown, then I'll give my thoughts on it, actually.
Well, no, I mean he fought. He didn't like the hit from Ridley Gregg.
Yeah.
I thought the hit was all right. I mean the I ranted today on Good Morning Hockey about the Jack Eye hit on Stutzla. Like
Mm.
I thought that was such an unnecessary play from Arbor Jack Eye, and I still do.
Yeah, he's been
But
a thick of it this preseason, eh?
yeah, I just like I don't really understand why that was necessary. And then, Brady Kachuk fights him afterward, and now they're saying Brady Kachuk's also out with an upper body. And, I
Jesus.
like this is not important enough to really, get worked up like that. I understand everybody's like trying to get into it, but
I've never seen a
pump the
preseason,
brakes too.
never seen a preseason with this many injuries. That's kind of wild.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Doc takes the hit from Greg. Um it was all right. They dropped the mitts later on. Then Doc leaves and he like gives somebody like the phone
Yeah,
call.
a Sens fan was like heckling him, and then he gave the Sens fan's girlfriend the phone call sign. Yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
that's pretty baller. It does not shock me from Kirby Doc. That's definitely something he would do. He did something similar in the Blackhawks, like when he had that shootout goal to win the game a couple years ago. He did the old Matthews salute, with the hand over the ears. So he's definitely a very extravagant guy. So he's not definitely not afraid to pull some stunts like that. So. I think Frank Nazar did that move too one time in a Michigan game, so maybe taking some notes there. But yeah, I mean, Kirby Doc, what a guy.
It was too bad Kirby Doc didn't work out here.
It is. I did like Kirby Doc. Like he did frustrate. He frustrated. It was frustrating to watch him, but like I don't know, you could see the potential is there. At times he showed it, right? Like he could be our next Jonathan Tays. I was kind of hope he could be our next, great two-way center. Just didn't work out, unfortunately. I think Colleton could in large part be blamed for a lot of that as developmental miscues, trying to make him into something he wasn't. But I mean, with first year with Montreal was solid. Unfortunately, last year was pretty, unfortunately got that taken away from him. But hopefully this year, see him healthy again and get going because I think there's still a good player there. I'm still cheering for him. Hope he does well over there. Yeah.
Um so do you want to like talk about some of this injury stuff? I mean, the Celebrini thing was awkward, but like,
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
timelines on Reinbacher and Line A. But like I don't want to spend too much time talking about the injuries. Like I think it's such a bummer, honestly. But it
I will
is.
say for Patrick Laine, like it's pretty rare to hear of a 2 to 3 month injury and think, oh, that player dodged a bullet.
Yeah,
But in
he
this
did though.
case, he really did. I mean, I was thinking that could be a season ender or even worse. I mean, ACL tears, I mean, those could be career affecting. So, but thankfully it wasn't that. It was just like extension. So 2 3 months doesn't need surgery. I mean, that's ideal, right? That's probably the best case scenario he could have gotten out of that. So no, that's good to see. Unfortunately, Reinbacher wasn't so lucky. I think his is 5 to 6 months, if I'm correct. So that's pretty much the whole season development gone right there. So that's unfortunate for him. I mean, that's player already has enough pressure on him as it is. Maybe some of that's been taken away with the Demidov, drafting. Maybe it takes some of that pressure away. Some Habs fans didn't really want him; they wanted Michkov, but and especially guys like Wade Hudson, that blue line emerging. But I mean, it's still not ideal to have that much development stunted. So unfortunate for him.
Yeah. Yeah, the injury stuff is just, the Reinbacher one stinks because he didn't have a great season last year.
Yeah.
And this was a big season for him. Line 8, like you said, dodged a bullet for sure.
Yeah,
For
for
sure, for
sure.
sure.
Do we know
Thing,
Celebrini?
yeah.
Do we have a timeline on that
No,
yet or no?
no,
Okay.
nobody's really been
Oh, that didn't
updated
look
on that.
maybe too serious. Hopefully not. He might still be ready for game one, but we'll see. That's just me spitballing.
Yeah. But you wish more people were watching, and
Yeah, it's just something that's just, yeah, like you said, it's just unfortunate to see. I mean, I can't, like, just the amount of injuries this preseason. I can't recall seeing a preseason I've seen so many. It does beg the question. I think we had some questions like early on in this pod, like, is the preseason too long? It's like, I think 6 games, all right, but some of these teams, I think the Habs are playing like 8. I think they played like 8 games, if I'm not mistaken, this preseason. That's ridiculous. No team needs to be playing 8 preseason games. So maybe we need to cut down to 4 or 5. I think I started to have my mind change a bit about that as it's gone along, because there's no reason to be losing this many star players before the season's even started. I mean, for what? I mean, these vets, these games are useless for them. So I don't know. I think it's more so for guys fighting for spots. I think if you're these teams, it's like it does beg the question: do you need to be playing some of these guys like that in these games, right? So yeah.
well, but what I heard, and I was reading to you the article I was reading as I was reading it, the McDavid one, where he basically went to Chris Knobloch's office and said he wants to play out the rest of the preseason games, and he wasn't scheduled to play the other day, and he did play, and the game he got 2 assists in, and against Vancouver, and he's going to play the rest of the game, so he will have played in 5 of the 8 games, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like David. I think he's always an outlier, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty rare for a player to ask to play for more preseason games in that position where I mean,
Yeah.
McDavid's the guy. I think the preseason is probably the most useless for a guy like McDavid in the league. I don't know if there's a player who needs it less than him, but I mean,
But
I think it's fair
he
to
may
say he's
look
pretty
at it as
motivated
being
this year.
like he may look at it as being like, hey, I need these games to get ready, right?
That's
Like,
fair. Yeah.
so it's like,
Yeah.
if I'm kind of like thinking about, because I was on the short in the preseason bandwagon, when we talked about it like last week or 2 weeks ago, but now I'm like, oh well, the big dogs are still going to get their games in that they want / need to like get ready. Like Patrick Laine was playing because he needed to play hockey. Like
Yeah, I mean, he missed like all that time last season. Like a guy
yeah,
like that needs it when he come off an injury. Taylor Hall and the Hawks, another example. Like players who missed the
yeah,
season. Yeah, these games are important for guys like that.
yeah. So it's like, oh, like maybe Patrick Laine shouldn't have been playing, but like maybe he should have been playing. He probably should have been playing,
Yeah,
honestly.
it could. I mean, yeah, I mean, the same thing could have happened, game one,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
I don't think also like I know it matters, I guess, but I don't think it really matters whether it happened in a preseason game or a regular season game. Like I don't think it would have made the situation any better if it had happened on like game 1 or 2 of the regular
Oh,
season.
yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
It always sucks. Celebrini, no update, but I hope it's just like not that big of a deal.
Yeah, no, I mean, we want to see that guy play for sure. Definitely one of the more fun guys to watch in that color conversation with Michkov. Yeah.
The McDavid thing is kind of crazy though. Him asking to play more games, like you don't hear that really.
I mean, yeah, I mean, McDavid's he's a robot when it comes to hockey. It doesn't shock me. He wants to play as much hockey as possible, even if it's a nothing game. It's like that guy. Yeah, no, I think he's got a fire under him this year for sure. I think he wants to write the ending of last season, man.
Yeah. Also, the Utah Hockey Club have assigned Tijikin to Kelowna, the Western Hockey League. Threw him into 2 preseason games. Picked up an assist in the second one yesterday. In that Celebrini game. Yeah, I like the kid. I think obviously, if he plays like even a little bit like his dad, he'll be one of my favorite players in the NHL. Like I love Jerome Iginla. Like that was one of my guys growing up. So to see Tej play and to see him play in junior is to watch his father almost. Like he was really good last year in the Western Hockey League.
I mean, for what I've seen of him, like he could have one of the highest ceilings in this draft class, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
yeah,
the sky's the limit for that guy. I mean, for sure.
yeah. What do you think of like some of these other teams? Like I don't know. I asked my guest today on the show if what she thought about the Seattle Kraken, and I just like I'm trying to like ask people about these different teams that, normally I don't have a ton of like I get a ton of people from like Edmonton or Toronto. Like I don't need to ask another person about the Leafs, or the Florida Panthers or something like that. But, so I've been trying to like poke around on some of these teams.
Yeah.
But, like Seattle is like a really interesting team to me because
Very intriguing. I feel like it could be either way. I feel like they could be bottom of the barrel. They could be up there. Like, I don't know. It's hard to predict. They could be in the middle. Like, I feel
yeah,
like where they could be in the standings, I feel like you can make any argument for sure.
it's
Yeah.
important that they're good there. Like if the
Yeah.
NBA expands back to Seattle, you already got like the Mariners, and they care about
Oh,
the Mariners a lot over there. And the same thing about the Seahawks. Like they love the Seahawks out there too. So it's like not competitive sports market. Like there is
oh yeah. No.
competition for the
Yeah.
Kraken.
They love their sports there. Yeah, for sure.
We're like the Golden Knights. They were there first. They were there. You know what I mean? Like they were there before football. They were there before. I guess the WNBA team was there first. But like the NBA wants to go to Vegas now, but like the Golden Knights have already done their thing. Like the
Mhm.
Supersonics were already in Seattle. If the NBA goes back there,
Seattle
calls
doesn't
it.
have that benefit. They're effectively like the newest team, even though they aren't, right? So you want to establish that success, right? Like the Golden Knights have in Vegas. They've been in contention pretty much every year. In Seattle, it's like, yeah, I mean, the last year didn't go the way they wanted, but the year before they were a playoff team. I think if you're Seattle, you want to get back in the playoffs this year, right? I think it's not the end of the world if they don't, but I think with how bad that division is, like there's definitely an opportunity there. Like they could be a team that maybe people aren't taking seriously enough. Like I think they're a team that could be in that conversation for sure and get back to the way they were 2 years ago. I personally don't see it. I think they're, I don't know, fourth or fifth in that division, out just outside the playoffs. But I think they'll be in the conversation. They'll be in the mix.
I think they want to make like the prerogative in Seattle, I think, is to make the playoffs. Like I
Oh
think
yeah, that's the goal for sure. Yeah.
but I think that's like what's been told to Ron Francis is like
Hmm.
go out there and make the playoffs. Like they
I
went
think
and
it's a team that
signed
could do it.
Stevenson and
Yeah.
Montour. Like those are big deals. Like those are not, like short free agency, you know what I mean? Those are long-term big money deals to bring in guys who you think are going to be really high impact players.
I would say like the team doesn't necessarily have a ton of star power per se, but man, it has a ton of depth. I mean, there really isn't a weak line there. So I mean, I could definitely work out. Like I could definitely see them if they do make the playoffs, they can make a lot of noise because that's a team like those teams with depth. Those are the teams that make noise in the playoffs. So if they get there, they could be dangerous for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Shane
interested.
Wright's a guy I'm interested to
Shane
see.
Wright
Like,
too.
yeah, how does he kind of what's his role there? I mean, I feel like that's a guy who hasn't really had an opportunity these past few years or enough of a one. I like to see him get an extended look this year because I think he's ready to go. I think if a guy like that's like in the mix and producing the way he can, breaking out, like that could be a huge boom for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Beniers too. Like just like how much
Yeah, he had an off
offense is
year.
there in the stick?
Yeah.
Is it 80 points? Is it 90 points? Or is it like 65, 70? Right?
That was a big part of why they dropped off too. Like he didn't have the season yet. He had that sophomore slump, but can he get back to his rookie or better than that? I think he can for sure. I mean, that would help out a guy like McCann too, for sure. Yeah.
But Beniers, Wright, Stevenson down the middle, 1, 2, 3. If Beniers and Wright
That's
are as good
that's
as they
pretty
could
that's
be.
pretty strong.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the better center cores. That's got to be up there actually. It could be.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
could be. Yeah, we kind of talked about the Minnesota Wild thing, but the salary cap, I mean, there was a lot that came out from Gary Bettman and Bill Daley talking at the Board of Governors meeting, but the salary cap, I think, was what definitely made people the most excited that it could go up by another $4.5 million from where it currently
Yeah.
sits to up to $92.5 million. What do you think? Do you
That's
actually think
good.
we're
I
going to
mean,
get it? I mean, yeah, it's
do
good.
Will it actually happen? Probably not, but I mean, it's nice to hear that. I mean, I think Gary, of course, he's probably gonna throw all these projections but I mean, actually, it could. I mean, I don't think he'd say that if he didn't think it was a good chance it'll happen. But I think for the league, that's a great thing. You want to see the salary cap keep going up, help out these contracts, and no, I think that'd be a good thing to see, and hopefully it happens. But I don't know. It's tough. It's a very early projection, like you said. So I mean, yeah, we don't really have much to go off of it right now in terms of whether it actually happened, but we'll see.
Yeah, and also that they're going to renegotiate, or they're going to begin talking about renegotiating a CBA at the start of the turn of the calendar. So start is
Okay.
2025, but the CBA is set to expire in I think September 26th. Yeah, September 26th. So, Yeah, we don't need another lockout in hockey. I don't know if that
No.
needs to go said or unsaid. I mean, I don't know if we really need to say it at this point,
And
but
there's been 2.5 or basically, yeah, 2.5 lockouts during the Bettman administration. I mean, one full one and two half ones. So I guess that's two. I was never good at math, but yeah, we definitely don't need a fourth one, right?
no, I think the players are going to try and secure Olympic participation in a consistent international
Oh
calendar,
yeah.
and yeah, I think we're going to get some,
Amen to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
amen to that. It's right. But yeah, we're going to go from there and see what happens. Any other thoughts on NHL hour? NHL half hour?
I'm sure all the thoughts will come to me when the show ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just overall, yeah, I mean, we're so close to season now, very exciting. I think this is probably the most intrigued I've been for a season in a while. I feel like it's the least predictable, I'd say. Like I wouldn't say either any division's easy to predict now. And even as the preseason's gone along, I feel like the way I'm looking at it now versus 2 weeks ago is different. It just keeps changing. So I think it'll be a fun one to watch for sure, and definitely parity. And I think the worst teams will be better. The better teams won't be as good. I think it'll just be a closer season, right? I think we want to see that. I want to see the teams closer. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for sure.
Yeah. What else did they announce? Oh, they announced, or there is some talk about like the expansion stuff too, and if they talk about that a little bit at the Board of Governors, and what we get to here, and the Four Nations face off too. A lot of stuff in the future, but the Four Nations is going to be a nice little break in the regular season too. And
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Better than the All-Star. I was never a fan of the All-Star break. I feel like it's overrated. The skills competitions are just a waste. Like they used to be fun, but they've ruined them. And the All-Star games, I don't know. The way that's been done the last few years has not moved me. I feel like it used to be a great weekend, and now it just kind of sucks. I
let's
like the
spend
way
two
it was
minutes.
then.
Let's spend 2 minutes on this. All right,
Like
and then we'll
2015, it
wrap
was
the show.
great. Yeah, yeah.
What would you do to fix the All-Star game?
What would I do to fix? I mean, I think more incentives, right? I feel like more incentives to play well and actually like do something. I think that maybe there's some cash things or whatever for the MVP, but I think more than that would be nice. Maybe something like the MLB does. I think they have something where it's like the winner of the All-Star game has like home ice or something, or home field, I should say, for playoffs. Should All-Star stuff affect that? Probably not. But maybe it would make it more entertaining. I don't know, it's just an idea. I mean, I don't necessarily think that should be done, but it's yeah. I mean, overall, I just think. It needs more spice. It's been too boring and stale the last few years. I think bring back the break, like the breakaway challenge the way it was, not the way it is now, whatever it is of these gimmicks and stuff. Like I thought the way it was, like back in 2015, for example, like that was a fun year. I think that was the year where rest in peace, Johnny Gaudreau. I think that was the year where Voracek like he was like he pretended he was
Yeah.
like a kid, like stuff like that was like fun to watch. Like I don't know, and I think the fantasy draft like it was good the way that it was done, but this past season they brought it back and it was not the way it was back in like I don't know, like Team Foligno, Team Tays in 2015. I remember it was a lot of fun. Like when Ovechkin wanted to go last because he wanted the car and stuff like that. Like that was entertaining. That was fun. Whatever this was of these celebrities and stuff, that sucked. Like none of that. Like this should be about the players, and I don't know, none of this fluff. So although Tate McRae was great in the halftime intermission, I will say she was very fun to watch there. I just had to throw that in there, but yeah.
Give me like North America versus the world again. If you want to actually make the All-Star game like have a little juice to it,
Ooh, that's
give
good.
me a North America versus Europe or rest of the world format for and get rid of the 3-on-3. Let's go back to 5-on-5, please. Hockey is
Yes.
a 5-on-5 sport, not a 3-on-3 sport.
Point being, I always pick international hockey over all-star stuff. All sports, I've never been a fan of it. I just think I don't know.
Dude, the next two, I mean, they're going to still do an All-Star game the year of the Olympics, but the next 2 years, really, we get international hockey breaks as well. So look forward to that. All right. Also, the people outside mowing, I think they're just mowing the one patch of grass right in front of the studio, it sounds like, which is
They're just trying. That seems very intentional.
Yeah, no, it feels like they're just like, oh, Chicago Hockey Radio is recording right now. Let's get after these guys.
They're our number one ops over there. We got what's
All
going
right.
on over there.
That's gonna do it for the show. When's the next Blackhawks preseason game?
They got two more Friday, Saturday. So just
All right.
win one of them. Just one. Just win once just to show you can do it. So, I mean,
And
yeah.
we will also have NHL regular season hockey happening during the time of this next recording, our next recording on Friday. In the middle of the afternoon, we will have.
Really?
Yeah.
That's even earlier than I thought.
Buffalo, New
Oh.
Jersey. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for us. Also, First Hawks post game show. You'll be able to find that live here on the Chicago Hockey Radio YouTube channel. Subscribe to that if you haven't already. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll catch everybody Friday. Sorry about any technical difficulties. Lawn mowing, new cameras, not hearing sound for a little bit. You know, you'll get it all here, but that's why it's preseason for everybody. I'm going to keep saying that. That's my new favorite line. At least
until we can't use it once the regular season starts.
Yeah, no, we can't. We can only use.
So we got to iron out these kinks
days
before Tuesday, man.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We'll see everybody tomorrow or Friday. See everybody Friday.